So we're back with another series of questions for your favorite coach, Mark Baker. Mark, how you doing today?
Doing great.
All right, so we got some questions from the guys and gals. First question, how important is keeping the ball near your feet at release? I always had a problem keeping it close. I usually lay the ball down 10 to 12 boards from where my slide foot stops.
Yeah, that might be a little bit of a problem. You don't have to, obviously the closer the better. As long as you're within 2 or 3 inches on a consistent basis, it's okay. If it gets more than 6, 7, 8 inches away from your ankle, it's not wrong, it just makes it very hard to be accurate.
That makes sense. Second question. What does it mean when you roll the ball and the ball is rolling over your finger holes? Is that a bad release?
Usually that means you turn it too early. So your hand turns down early, and then you try to stay behind it by flipping it back up. So the ball tends to roll up over your finger holes. So try to just make sure you turn the ball later. There's only 2 places you can turn a ball, at your heel or at the end of your toe. Obviously the end of your toe is the right place. Try to keep the flat part of your forearm going forward. Add the rotation later as you can. Usually you'll get off the finger holes if you do that.
Definitely just learned a little bit there. Third question, I know the answer to this. Where are you based out of?
I am in Orange County, California. The Westpac Training Center is here in Orange. I am about 5 minutes from Disneyland and 2 minutes from where the Ducks play and the California Angels.
Next question. When it comes to slowing down your approach, is it simply just walking slower during your walk-up?
I would actually move up. Trying to walk slower from your normal starting point tends to make your arm decelerate. That takes away all the purpose of throwing it slower. You want to throw it slower, you still want to catch it. So you watch the pros, their ability to move up and back on the approach is pretty remarkable. Chris Barnes, I know, can start from the very back or in front of the dots to a 3-step approach. So really work on not trying to throw it slower by slowing down your body. Move up 6 inches, 3 inches, a foot, 2 feet. Every mile an hour you're trying to slow it down, move up 6 more inches. That way the gears stay the same, meaning your lower body and your swing stay in the same timing. So that way you're not decelerating your arm at the moment of release.
So does that mean to speed it up, you would possibly move
I'm not
back?
a big believer on moving back because if you move back too far, you tend to get your foot too far from your pivot step, too far from the foul line, and that causes a lunge, your head going down, thumb coming over the top. So you do throw it harder, but your ball won't hook very much.
Perfect. What does moving the air forward mean? Been bowling league for 10 years and I've never heard that before until you said it.
Well, thank you. I did invent it. So another way to look at it, there's 3 ways to move the air when you throw a bowling ball. You can move the air forward, which is what everybody wants to do, or you can move the air down, or you can move the air up. Here's the easiest answer. When you get to the timing spot, when your left slide foot is in front of your head and your swing's parallel, there's a distance between your chin and your kneecap. If that distance stays the same, that's basically moving the air forward, and that's how you create a flat spot. If at that point from the timing spot to release, you move your head down, moving the air down, your hand will go on top of the ball. Why? The ball stays in its arc. So if you're moving your air forward, that distance stays the same, your hand will get in a very specific spot every time. If you move your head up, your hand will rotate to the very top of the ball, you throw it from the top, and you come over the top and you spin it. So moving the air forward is about keeping your chin and your knee, that distance pretty much equal, all the way to the bottom of your swing, and that creates a flat spot and a very consistent release and great balance.
Reminds me of when you said you get a chance to wait on it at that point. Yeah. Mark, I have seen many videos of the cleanup crew that you reference a quiet left foot for a right-hander. Can you give more details as to what that means? Any tips for keeping your foot quiet? And thanks for all the great videos.
Do appreciate the compliment. So keeping your left foot quiet just means your head's not going forward. So if your left foot's quiet, that means you're in balance. That typically means you didn't throw the ball with your shoulder, it was a swing. Once there's a lot of downforce with your shoulder, that tends to wiggle your left foot and your head moves. So if it's a real swing, you're in time, and your head stays quiet, your left foot won't move much. You'll find your best shots are when you control your head and your left foot stays stable.
Next question, what is a Sarge Easter grip? And is there any benefit to it versus standard one-hand thumb-in grip?
Now, I've never thrown a Sarge Easter. Robert Smith, Mike Devaney, and I think Michael Fagan are the 3 that come to my mind that have used a Sarge Easter. That's where your ring finger is a conventional and your middle finger is a fingertip. I think that takes, the guys that have that, those guys all have pretty high rev rates, and they all like to hook it. So I think that gives them more control. I personally never had enough hook, so I never had to worry about a Sarger. I was trying to get that damn thing to hook as best I could. I was using everything I had. But no, the Sarger, this one's conventional, this one's fingertip, supposedly gives you more control. When all three of those guys went to it, I didn't notice that their balls hooked any less. Especially Robert Smith. Well, all three of them, Devaney, Smith, and Fagan, not known for throwing the ball straight.
Next question. What is good balance? Sometimes I feel I fall off the shot, yet I see a recording and my right foot only goes back to the ground when the ball passes the arrows. Should I work on keeping it off the ground until the ball reaches through the pins, or will that just happen from time to time?
I'm a big believer there's falling off and there's stepping off. So stepping off, you'd have like Walter A. Williams, Mark Roth, and Dick Weber. The ball's past the arrows, it's getting towards a break point, and they step to the right. I don't consider that falling off. I consider falling off is when you're throwing the ball and you can't complete your fall through, then you step to the right. That will affect your shot. If you can get your fall through to the top, the ball goes past the arrows, I don't care if you do a backflip by then, because then you have no influence on the ball. But in the middle of your fall through, you're stepping to the right, you got to work on your timing and your balance.
Nice. Next question. What's the key to helping keep my right foot straight at the foul line? I intend to move it sideways after my release. I tend to move it sideways after my release.
So if that's your right foot, that means you're left-handed. So in today's game, when everybody hooks the ball quite a bit, even if your slide foot's about 10 to 15 to 20 degrees open, or closed, I guess, that way, facing, if you're left-handed, your right foot's facing the 7-pin. I don't have a problem with that. It's when your foot is 180, where it's parallel, then your belt buckle and your breastplate aren't facing your down lane target. So the easiest way to control that, if you can control your belt buckle and your breastplate, your foot tends to follow. If your shoulders and your hips blow wide open, your foot tends to follow that. So try to keep your hips in line with your break point a little longer. That should make your foot a little more consistent.
Nice. Next question. This one's a little bit longer. I have a question outside of moving closer to the foul line. Which is the best way to slow ball speed down? I can bowl all areas of the lane, but sometimes when playing on a short pattern that is short and needing to use urethane, I have a tendency to throw the ball 18 to 20 miles an hour, targeting 10 through 5 depending on the pattern. I've been working on reducing the ball speed and been able to get it to lower 17-ish, but I feel it's still too fast for the shot. After 2 to 3 games on the pattern, I'm able to move left and throw reactive through the 20, 15. My ball speed is now 15 and a half to 16 and a half. I also tend to loft more than most people when moving left as well.
So back to the original question, throwing it harder, put more service on your ball. It'll slow your ball down faster. So just keep putting more service till it's not 20 miles an hour. It'll start up, and then you can get closer, obviously, with the numbers you just gave me when you get to move left, when you get to see what you want to see, you bowl better. Every bowler's that way. We don't like where we don't like, and we like where we do like. So when you get to the part of the lane you like, you tend to throw it better. When I had to play very, very far right, I really wasn't very good at that. I didn't do it very exceptionally well, but I learned to do things to get by, which I would have put a lot of service on my ball. Maybe you'll make that experience of playing out on a short pattern just one game, and then you'll get to shift left and get to more of your A game. I think that's the easiest way to do it.
Perfect. I am a one-handed right-hander, and on my follow-through, my arm tends to go up and out right a little on the post instead of straight in front. My coach wants me to have my elbow pointing more in front. Is this something normal, and if so, how can I fix it?
Yeah, that's,
go ahead.
If you look at the best bowlers, they tend to have their elbow in front. Jason Belmonte's arm's a little bit out to the right. It doesn't seem to affect him too much at the pay window. So there's also that. I wouldn't want to see it like this. I don't want to see the palm facing the pins and your arms like 90 degrees, your elbow's facing the right wall. This is probably pretty much through the middle of the face, the new follow-throughs. This is how I followed through back in the day. So anywhere in there is pretty good. The key is, I'm not so concerned about your follow-through. I would be more concerned about how often do you hit your target. If you hit your target a lot in the front and your ball hooks in the right place in the back, I really wouldn't care what your follow-through looks like.
That's the name of the game. Next question, does Mark Baker have the spare equivalent to the Baker box for shooting at spares straight? Like stand 30, throw over center arrow to pick up 10 pins, stand 25, throw over third arrow, etc. I can really build a dependable, I can really build a dependable system this way.
So if you watch me when I bowled on tour in my heyday, you would have never asked that question. I was never the best spare shooter on tour. But spares are trial and error. At my camp, we give you the Doug Kent style, I give you the Dave Husted style, the Robin Romeo style, my style. The key to having a good spare game is having your own system. There is no right, there is no wrong. If you want to throw all plastic at your right side spares and hook your left side spares, great. If you're only bowling on sport shots, I would recommend just using a plastic ball for everything. So Robin Romeo tends to use urethane. We all have our way of doing it. I tend to adjust off my strike line, so I'm constantly moving. There is no right way or wrong way, but the best bowlers have a system that they believe in and they practice it. So have your own system. There is no Baker box for spares. I think Norm Duke has said it best. When you're lined up correctly and you let go, the pin gets in the way of your ball as you make it.
I like that. And that's funny. I feel like the last few months started to realize those patterns of I stand here typically on my 10 pin, I stand here typically on my 7 pin. If I hit that mark, it's going to do the same thing every time. So
Accuracy's accuracy.
Yeah, it's just, find your own system. That's really the best answer. Next question. This is the final one. Should I be aiming for one spot in the lane, or should I be moving dots as well as my aim point for each shot?
Well, my theory is if I move my feet, I move my eyes.
Okay.
I never move my feet and I don't move my target. Good rule of thumb, once you get past like 11, 12 on the lane, you start moving your feet left. A lot of people, a 2-to-1 ratio, a 3-to-2 ratio. For every 2 boards, I move my feet, move my eyes 1. I believe in the Baker box wholeheartedly down lane. Now, if I'm playing 11 and I move right, I tend to move my feet and my eyes the same amount. Now I'm throwing the ball up the lane and my break point's down here. Now as I move left, but the break point doesn't move, I move my feet twice as much. I'm trying to get to that same spot down lane. An easier way to answer that, if I'm standing on 15, I'm looking at 7 or 8. So my eyes and my feet are about 7 boards different. If I'm standing on 30, I'm looking at 16 or 17. So now my feet are 13, 14 boards difference.
Yeah.
So as you can see, the farther I'm right, where I stand and where I look are closer together, and the farther I move left, where I stand and where I look get farther apart, because I'm pretty much trying to get them to the same spot down lane.
So I have a piggyback question off of that. That goes, I think, hand in hand with also you have to know your drift and miss at that point too, or else you're going to be off on those numbers, right?
That would definitely help. What Rich means on your drift and miss, an easy way to answer this question, mine is 4 and 3. That means I drift 4 boards left where I start, and I miss my target by 3 boards where I look. So if I want to slide on 20 and I want to hit 10, I stand on 16 and I look at 7. I've never hit my target my entire life. If you ask Days at Ozio, I never hit my target even when I was on trying in my entire life. So it goes without saying. My ball tended up in the 1-3 quite a bit, so it was all right. But yeah, knowing your drift and miss, if you're lining up off somebody else and you see where they're sliding and you know your numbers, it makes it very, very easy to slide where they slide, or if you see where they hit, it makes it easier to hit. In my case, on the Pro Bowlers Tour back in the 80s, I never bowled in the same squad as Marshall Holman. So I tend to watch Marshall pretty much every week. Wherever he was sliding the last game and hitting, that's exactly where I started. He was sliding on 25, hitting 13. I stood on 21, looked 10. I know it used to irritate Marshall. He told me to quit watching, and I had the same answer every week. If you quit leading the tournament, I'll quit watching you bowl.
So pay attention to the good bowlers, guys.
Marshall made a lot of finals. I watch Marshall a lot.
Okay, thank you so much, Mark. Anything you want to leave with our viewers that love your questions so much?
Just keep sending the questions in. Remember this, the questions are perfect because they apply to you. I give a lot of lessons. There's 2 things you're looking for when you bowl. You're looking for confidence and you're looking to be calm. Some people need the questions answered to calm down their brain so when they stand on the approach, they're confident. I was an ex-jock, so I just lived on confidence. So once I was confident in what I was doing, then my brain got calm. You just got to find out which way your brain works. You need the questions answered to be calm, to build your confidence, or need your confidence to calm your brain down to be calm. Figure out which way works for you, and I guarantee you, you'll like bowling a lot more.
Amen to that. That's the gospel from the man himself. Thank you so much, Mark. We appreciate you as always. MarkBakerBowling.com. Cleanup crew, we are out.